I'm from Jersey, and my mother... Thank you. And my mother's name is Angelina Josefina Scarlata Arlata. She's Jewish. She started out as a Catholic, but she wanted to marry my English Jewish dad. And both of their families were very much against it, but it's Jersey, so they cut a deal. And my mother converted to Judaism, but they decided to raise the children as Catholics. So this Jew made her first Holy Communion. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah. And my mom, like a lot of immigrant parents, was like very overprotective. And she was, even as an adult, she would call me and say, "Carla, did you lock the door? Carla, did you look in the back seat of the car? You never know." It was like her mantra. And I know she was doing the Malokia. I couldn't see her, but I could feel it. And about 10 years ago, my mom had a stroke, and we moved her from Jersey to Pittsburgh so she could be closer to my brother, who's a doctor. And she still calls all the time, but now she's got dementia, and she's a little paranoid. So she calls in the middle of the night, and instead of saying, "Did you lock the door?" she says, "Your brother is a murderer." And she also developed this weird obsession with the Israelis, which I'm sure has nothing to do with her conversion to Judaism. And she'd call and say, "The Israelis are trying to poison my food. They're trying to kill me." And she called 911 and told them the Israelis had put a bomb in her apartment. And when the cops got there, she thought they were the Israelis, and she didn't let them in, and they had to break down the door. And when my brother rushed to the hospital to meet her, they wouldn't let him in because she had told security he was an assassin from Mossad. So it never changed. It just got worse. And for my brother and I, it sort of became a source of fun, actually, over time. And this past December, I turned 60. Thank you. And my mom still called me on New Year's Eve to tell me to put a cocktail napkin over my drink when I went out, so somebody did not try to slip me a Mickey. And the next morning, my phone rings, and I'm super hungover because I forgot to put the cocktail napkin on my drink. And I just said, "Happy New Year's, Mom." But it was my brother calling to tell me that my mom had died that morning. Yes, that woman really knows how to wreck a holiday. And he said, "What do? We didn't have a plan." She was 83, but it was still unexpected. So I say, "I'll call the assisted living place." And they put me in touch with her nurse, Patty. And I said, "Patty, what happened?" And she said, "Well, your mom was awake. She was eating, and then she fell over, and she died." I said, Great story, Patty." And then she said, "You need to get your mother out of here today." And I said, "Well, what does that mean? I'm 400 miles away in Jersey." She said, "Well, she can't stay here. She's dead." And I said, "Well, what do you usually do?" And she said, "I don't know what you mean." And I said, "It's an assisted living facility." And she said, "Well, we don't really have any protocol." I said, Thanks, Patty. So the only thing that I did know is that we had a plot in a Jewish cemetery in South Jersey next to where my father is buried, but my mom had been very insistent for the last 3-4 years that she wanted to be buried in a Catholic cemetery. So, I want to honor her wishes. I called my brother. I said, "What do we do?" And he said, we can't worry about it. She's never going to know." So I call the Jewish cemetery. It's New Year's Day. It's closed. And then I grab my laptop because I've got to get her out of there. And I Google how to move a body from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. Does UPS have a shipping service for corpses? And I'm thinking, if the Israelis see my search history, there's going to be a lot of questions. And finally, Mike from the cemetery calls me back, puts me in touch with Howard from the funeral home, and I give him the whole spiel, and he says, don't worry, I got a guy." I said, what does that mean? He said, I got a guy in Pittsburgh that I used to move the Jews. And I'm like, all right, but I'm relieved. And the next morning, Howard sends me pictures of caskets. I didn't know there were so many choices. And I'm in the gym on the spin bike, and I'm looking. There's like hinge tops and glass tops and mahogany oak and oak. And I see the guy on the bike next to me. He's like looking over. And I just said Tinder. The next morning, bada bing, bada boop, Mom's back in Jersey. And we have the service. It's beautiful. We do the whole thing, the 3 shovels of dirt. And when it's over, Howard calls me over, and he shows me this little plastic hospital bracelet with my mother's name on it. And he said, I just wanted you to know that it's really your mom in there. And I said, well, that was not something I was worried about at all until now. And I'm a lawyer, so I'm pretty sure it's not actual proof that my mother is in the casket, and I'm freaking out. Is she still in Pittsburgh or Palestine? And I'm looking in the hole, and I'm just getting agita, panicking, and then I hear my mother's voice, and she says, Carla, you should have gotten the glass top one, because you never know. Thank you.